century, the Mughal army and the Sepoy army. In 18th century, Mughal successor states like Awadh and Banaras started recruiting peasants into their armies and training them as professional soldiers. So basically, the Mughal successors, states like Awadh and Banaras, basically Delhi could not be a stronghold because obviously it had lost its glory. Awadh and Banaras started recruiting peasants and training them as professional soldiers. The East India Company adopted the same method when it began recruitment for its own army, which came to be known as the Sepoy army. Now, what method? This method, recruiting the peasants and training them to be a professional soldiers. This is how the East India Army were able to successfully recruit its own army in the form of the Indian soldiers only. That were the Sepoy army, known as the Sepoy army. Changing the military requirements. Now, they could not go on with the same old military requirements. They could not win wars because of that. So the warfare technology changed from the 1820s. How? The cavalry requirement of the company's army declined. Why the cavalry declined? Let's see. The British Empire was fighting in Burma, Afghanistan, and Egypt. Soldiers were armed with muskets and matchlocks. Now, these muskets and matchlocks, they were handled by the soldiers. So the company's army had to keep pace. Its infantry regiments now became more important. Why? Because the infantry regiment had to handle these. The matchlocks and the muskets had to be handled by the infantry regiments only. So now, instead of the cavalry, they had to, cavalry means the people on horses. So basically, instead of the cavalry, they need more men on the infantry division. So that is why they started recruiting and started, giving more focus on the infantry in order to handle the technical tools such as muskets and matchlocks. Early 19th century, uniform military culture happened. Soldiers were subjected to European style training, drill and discipline. So basically now they did not have this freedom to train according to their rules and training methods. Now they had to be trained according to the European means. They wanted to maintain their European standards. The training, the drill and the discipline all had to be happened in the European way. Now here we can see that obviously these people, they come from certain caste and community. And if you're forcing them into learning some kind of method, professionalism, which is according to your standard, obviously at some point of time, they might think of revolting against you, because if it is not going according with their culture and tradition, they might revolt against you. So the caste and community feelings were ignored in building a force of the unprofessional soldiers. Basically, the British, they had this brilliant idea that, okay, I will train you according to my European methods, but they forgot that these were the newly recruited soldiers and they might not agree to whatever we are teaching if it goes against their customs and traditions. So that is what that happened. Some of the soldiers, they revolted against this. Basically, we all know the story of Mangal Pandey. So that time when the peasantry was recruited, they were giving this rifle, which a certain part of the rifle was supposed to be chewed. It was supposed to be chewed off, and then the rifle was supposed to be fired. Now, a rumor spread during that time. That is how it was the spark. It was the main event that caused the first war of independence, the war of 1857, revolt of 1857. Now, these soldiers, it included Muslim and Hindu people as well. So there was this rumor that spread around that time that this portion, which they had to chew it off, they had to, just chew and throw, it was made up of beef and pork. So beef was, Hindus were religious and they could not touch beef. A cow was a very religious icon for them and they could not have touched the beef. Pork was not in accordance with the traditions of the Muslims. So basically both of these religions, they started to revolt. They started to, resist the British professionalism, the British training methods, and they started revolting. And that is how Mangal Pandey, he killed 2 British officers and he was hanged. And that became the spark of the revolt of 1857. After that, this war happened. So basically, that was the brim point at which the war happened. The rise of the East India Company. The East India Company transformed from a trading company to a territorial colonial power. The arrival of the new steam technology in the early 19th century also aided this process. Now, British East India Company, they had all this support, not just in the form of their military support, but also the form of the steam technology. Now they had better ships, and this also aided their process of expansion as well as the profit. Steamships reduced the journey time from the 6 weeks to 3 weeks, enabling the British to come to a far-off country like India. Now their families also used to come. Previously, it was a long route, so a very limited number of people could come. But now, since the time was reduced because of the steam technology, more people, more Britishers, they started coming to India. They started establishing their houses here. You can still see if we go to certain places like Darjeeling or all the places of the colonial era, around which the colonial cities were established. You can still see those colonial buildings which they started their establishments in. By 1857, the company came to exercise direct rule over about 63% of the territory of India and 78% of the population of the Indian subcontinent. This is a very important number here, which we see. 63% of the territory was now annexed in the British East India Company's territory, and now they were able to directly rule this territory. And they were able to rule over 78% of the population of the subcontinent. Now we can see that how they came up with just the trading thing, and they ended up having direct rule over 63% of the territory of India. That ends our chapter. Let's move on to the questions. Question 1 is, what attracted European trading companies to India? Of course, we have cotton, we have fine cotton, we have silk, and then we have spices. Along with this, they were very, very sure that India had huge supply of wealth. Like, they were very, very rich country. India was a very rich country. And of course, cotton, silk, and spices, these were the main ingredients which attracted the European trading companies to India. What were the areas of conflict between Bengal Nawabs and the East India Company? First of all, there was this duty. The duty which basically the trade duty, which the East India Company did not pay. Then there was this refusal of orders of revenue. They also, we have read that they were also very rude with the letters, and they did not, easily recognize the authority of the rulers. So obviously all these things were there, because of which there was this constant conflict between the Nawabs of Bengal and the East India Company. Of course, there were the fortification issues. The Bengal, the Nawabs, they sought that their fortifications should stop, their establishment, the enhance of their establishment should stop. So all these reasons, they formed the conflict. Question 3 is, explain the system of subsidiary alliance. So in subsidiary alliance, what happened was that the rulers were not allowed to maintain their own army. Rather, they were provided with the army of the British, which the rulers, had to maintain. So basically, if I'm the ruler, I'm not supposed to have my own army, but the British East India Company will provide me with their army, and I will have to give money. I will have to maintain that army. That army only will fight my wars. That army only will be maintained, but it will be maintained at my cost. So basically, I am not allowed to have my army, but I am paying for an army that the British is providing. That was a subsidiary alliance. Also, if I was not able to maintain the army, if I was not able to give the amount that was used to maintain the army, then half of my territory, or a part of my territory, would be annexed and would be gone to the British East India Territory. That was what was happened in the subsidiary alliance. Of course, you can give, for extra marks, you can give example of the state of Awadh. Nawab Sujauddaulah, how he had a subsidiary alliance. Let's have a quick revision of this chapter. This was a very long chapter, so I'll be very quick with the timeline events. In 1498, we all know Vasco da Gama, Portuguese explorer, discovered the sea route to India. He came to the state of Goa, and then the Portuguese, they had this trading thing going on in India. Started having trading in India. In 1600, the East India Company acquired a charter from the ruler of England, Queen Elizabeth I, granting it the sole right to trade with the East. In 1651, the first English factory was set up on the banks of the river Hooghly. In 1696, the company began building a fort around the settlement for the purposes of protection. In 1756, Ali Vardi Khan died and Sirajuddaulah became the Nawab of Bengal. And in 1757, Battle of Palasi took place, in which Nawab Sirajuddaulah was defeated by the British East India Company. In 1764, the Battle of Buxar took place between Mir Qasim and English East India Company, in which Mir Qasim he had to succumb. He died. In 1765, the Mughal emperor appointed the company as Diwan of the provinces of the Bengal. In 1782 to 99, Tipu Sultan was the ruler of Bengal. In 1799, he died fighting a battle with the British, and after that, the British annexed the kingdom of Mysore as well.